so you can roll on it.
Hmm.
I thought that was really cool. And then today I got in. Um, Hi, Marby. I got to meet Marby face to face when I went through
Yay!
Dallas. That was great. Um, when Teacher Barbara made me a shirt for my channel, and her husband made me this beautiful
It's
malachite
beautiful,
necklace.
beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so I'm wearing the necklace, and see if I can do this without knocking my drink over this week.
yeah.
That's when they all heard me curse last time I did
Just
my
don't waste the beignets.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. And so she
Oh,
made me this shirt for my channel. Let me get this right.
Wow. God, you have a logo and everything. I love it.
And it's
beautiful.
Voices from the Swamp. And it's got my fleur de lis and all
Yeah, fleur de lis.
my little critters down in there. And so and she just did it out of the goodness of her heart. She
Remarkable.
emailed me and says, I'm making you a shirt. What's your address? I just knocked my cashews on the floor. And
She's got a grocery store in there with her.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going on?
yes, I have a bad habit of sitting and nibbling.
Do you? Well, we won't. We just won't talk about that.
it's all good.
so so despite you do Daryl, I got a couple of nice little doodads this week. So that was really great. So
Perfect. See,
thank
it
you
all evens
everybody.
out.
And hi Laura, hi Karen. I've been trying to catch people as they pop in. Um,
Yeah.
if you have a ghost story you would like to share, pop it into the chat and let me know. And you can either
Hi, Jen.
tell it out in the chat, or if you want to come on and tell it to everybody, I'll send you the link. I'll post the link in the chat.
And if
Yeah.
you have
So
like a ghost that you're concerned about, we could read cards
yeah, it's exactly, maybe do a little banishing while we're at it.
or try to
Um,
figure out who it is, what they want.
There's that.
Keelan directed this to you, Helen. She says, hanging around all these criminals when a big driving force in this community is reading on our most famous homegrown village idiots.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
That's it. So, ah, my mother's cuss word was flitterdick.
I'm trying to picture that. That has. Oh, that's
I've never heard
hilarious.
that one before. That's going to get incorporated into my language. I
Yep.
like that.
It's very
It's
good.
just odd enough that people are be like, "What did she say?"
What? What?
See,
Yeah.
it's an art form. It's creative. It's very
Yeah.
expressive, and
My grandmother's was "Damn it to hell." That's what she
oh
would say.
yeah.
She would say
Yes.
other things too, but I really don't need to repeat that. Um, but Linda Ramsey said, "Shall we send you a cake with a saw blade in it?" You can keep the saw blade. Just send me cake. I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Can do that too.
Sherry, maybe if maybe if you played your cards right, pardon the pun, you could end up on Love After Lockup.
Oh God, just what I
We could
need.
get you fixed up with somebody.
Yes.
Get a pen pal.
No, thank you.
Yes.
Although
Yeah.
I did have a gentleman on the trip back, and I don't remember even what state we were in. We stopped for gas. I went inside to get a Coke, and he was following. He was the clerk that was working there, following me around the store. You're such a pretty lady. Can I get your phone number? Like, I'm like,
Oh
what?
my God.
He's like, I bet that's your husband out there. I said, no, that's my son out there. And he said, oh, well,
Yeah.
is your husband in the car too?
You should have said no, that's one of them.
Mhm.
And I said, no, I said, he's dead, which kind of usually stops them in their
Yeah,
tracks
that leaves
when
the
I
door
say,
open though.
and oh, you can give me your number and I'll just call and talk to you. And I'm thinking to myself, I will never see you again.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding? That?
You're
So
hundreds and hundreds of miles away. So I don't
random.
know. I rattled off some number. I don't know who he wound up calling.
Sherry, you're not 13. Oh my God.
I was tired. I was hot. I was cranky, and I was like, I don't have time for this BS.
Oh
So I just
God.
rattled off some numbers and was like, okay, is that enough? Yeah, that's enough number.
Breaking
He's holding
hearts all
on.
across the country.
You
Yeah.
writing it down. I was like, oh my God, I can't
Oh
believe
my
he's giving
God.
it. And so I don't know who he wound up calling, but I hope they were nice. Um,
I hope they were single.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Hi, Michelle
Oh, hello,
Marie.
Michelle.
And you want to join us? Say the word. I'll send you the link. And
It's a
we'll have a
party.
party. Yeah.
Hey. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I was just in the middle of trying to send you a text saying, "Hey, are you awake? Did you forget to schedule this?" When yeah, you popped on, so it was like, never mind, delete.
Sounds like Sherry's used to getting those kind of texts late at night. You up?
You up?
And boy, there's a loaded question, right? I mean,
Oh,
depends on
and
who you're
Linda
talking
Ramsey
to.
says, "So now I know how that dude got my number."
Oh,
Wait, say that again?
I got it. Good
I
one.
missed it. So say it again. I missed it. I was reading what was being said.
One of the people watching, I missed their name, said, "Now I know how that dude got my number."
Yeah, Linda Ramsey.
Sorry, Linda. I didn't mean to give him your number.
Yeah,
I just spit out some numbers that popped into my
yeah,
head. So, oh my
exactly.
goodness.
Yeah. Or there's always, that the one that they use
Oh,
in the
Mickey
like on
wins the
TV shows
internet.
and whatnot, which is one whatever 555 1212. And there is actually a number 1-800-555-1212. I can't remember what it does, but yeah, and it's an easy one to remember, right?
Okay, Michelle Marie, you're forgiven.
Ah,
She's like, I just finished cleaning the
Mickey,
house. I'm not camera ready.
I'm reading this. Oh my God. So
Hey,
you
Tammy,
dug
I got
him
yours.
up? You dug him
mhm.
up.
Right behind the shed in the
I mean,
yard.
technically.
Yeah, answers in the box. We
My
saved
mom's
Dad's house
roughly
as a
about
rental.
25 feet above my head over here on the top of the bookshelf. We split her in two. We have two urns, one for me, one for my brother. And somebody asked me once, well, which half do you have?
Oh God.
I said, probably her ass because she was always kicking me in mine. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Uh, Thank you, Rose Blue. Yeah, she said yeah, that number is probably for time and temperature. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah,
could be.
useful. Well, we've lived in the same house for many decades, and my yard is so much like a pet cemetery that we've had to put the overflow under the shelf in the bookcase in the living room. I have four dead dogs under my bookcase. I've got you name it, except for like horses. We don't have any big things,
Yeah.
but you name the rodent or dog or cat, bird, everything,
Yeah.
iguanas in my backyard. I
Yeah.
pity the person who decides someday they're going to replace the fence. They're going to be unearthing skeletons all over.
They're going to be like, who lived here before?
Oh
What
man,
Yeah.
did
we had
they
so
do?
many funerals too, because kids,
Well, yeah.
literally funerals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Um, so I just have my mom's ashes. That's it. And it's split in two. So my brother and I each have our own box.
Yeah.
And she's still sitting up there ruling the roost.
No.
She can be
Uh,
quite specific sometimes when she's not happy.
yeah.
Do
And
you ever? Does she actually communicate with you?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't hear her voice. I don't hear. I wish I
Mm.
did hear her voice. Maybe one day I will, but just the thoughts of
Yeah.
Lola.
Yeah. You just know. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um, whenever she's just wanting to hang out with me, a lot of times when I'm just buzzing around the house doing things, I'll find myself. She used to do this kind of a whispery whistle thing under her breath, just just some little tune, whatever would pop into her head. It wasn't any particular song, and used to drive me batshit crazy when she did it because it's always when I was trying to concentrate on something, it'd be like, "Mom, stop!" But now I catch myself doing it at
yeah,
odd moments, when I'm doing stuff.
Just
So it's
sort of
like,
enters your mind. Huh?
and I did a personal reading for an old family friend of ours that I first met the woman. I think I was around 10 or 11. She was friends with my mom and my mom's sister, and uh, my aunt Cindy was she married a guy in the Air Force, and the other lady was married to a guy in the Air Force. They were all there on the base, and I was always just so taken with her because she was like under 5 feet. This little bitty tiny woman, very pretty, and her husband was like 6 foot something. I mean, she literally came up to his waist.
yeah,
It was just odd to see them stand side by side. But I was always just so taken with her because she was so pretty. And when Mama got real sick, she contacted me and said, "Well, can I send her cards?" And I said, "Oh, she would love that." And she was one of the few people that all throughout Mama's, slowly fading away, she always remembered Gloria.
yeah,
She knew who that was. She never forgot her. And so when a card would come in, just random off the wall, "Hey, thinking of you," Mama would get so excited because Gloria sent her a card.
It means a lot.
And
You know.
it does. And about a couple months ago, she contacted me and said, "Do you do personal readings?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "Do you know somebody needs a reading?" She says, "I do." And I said, "Okay." I said, she says, "Well, what do you charge?" And I said, "Well, I'll send you my price list and we'll go from there. And so she contacted me back. She says, "Okay, well, let's do this." And I'm like, "Okay, that sounds good." And she says, "If I ask you to try to reach and talk to my mom, who died like about a year ago," she says, "how much extra would that cost?" And I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, "Mediumship is not my strong point right now.
yeah,
Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't." I said, "And if it comes through, it's a little lanyap for you. Think of it as a gift." And so she was like, "Okay." And so I went. I had been trying to get it done all morning, the night before, and all that morning at work, and just couldn't break away long enough to sit down and actually do a reading. So on my lunch break, I went outside and I did it. And then I recorded it. And it was the wildest thing because I'm reading the cards and I'm giving her a reading, answering her questions. And this woman starts talking to me, and I can hear her voice clear as a bell.
Oh,
And
seriously,
it
like
was
it
her
was
mom.
out loud?
No, out loud, like she
Oh,
was standing next
wow.
to me
yeah,
talking to me.
Wow. Wow.
And it kind of caught me off guard and
Yeah.
gave me a message for her. And the next thing I knew, I heard my mama's voice.
Oh,
My
Sherry.
mom came to say, "I got something to say to Gloria too."
oh, thanks,
So
mom.
when
You don't want to talk to me, but
yeah,
her,
want to
yeah,
talk to
okay, great,
Gloria, yeah,
Well, and
yeah,
don't forget she tortures her all the time.
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
So when
oh,
I
Sherry, that's
and it
marvelous.
was just so, and it wasn't long, maybe 30 seconds,
But
not even that.
still,
But
still, yeah.
it was so remarkable that I literally had to
yeah,
pause the video because I was filming it on my
Yeah.
phone. Had to pause and just kind of catch my breath. It was like, okay, I was not expecting that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
when I went back on the video, I said, "Okay, your mom came through. This is what she said." I said, and then my mom came through with a message for you. And this is what she said. And so I sent it off to her, and a few hours later I get an email from Gloria. She says, every time I re-listen to this, I cry all over again.
Oh,
She's but
oh,
happy tears, not sad tears, but
yeah.
happy tears. But she was
Still.
so excited that my mom came through too to talk to her. And I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I said,
Sherry,
because
that's
that,
a real breakthrough. I've been taking a class, to try to get better
yeah,
at this. And those are
yeah,
different kinds of abilities. And usually people have
yeah.
a strength in one area and maybe they can do other stuff, but it's not their strong point. And for you to be developing other like clairaudience and that's significant.
Kind of jumped, and it's never. It's like I don't have any control over it.
Yeah.
I can't just sit down and go, okay, I want to talk to Joe Blow,
Yeah.
come through. That doesn't work. But if I'm just reading, or if I'm just kind of thinking on it, suddenly I'll just know something, or I'll hear something. Once in a while I'll hear them, like, just it sounds more like
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they
And
say you can develop it and you can make it more controllable. You do it through
hence why I bought the
meditation.
psychic enhancement oil.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Dab a
we're
little
gonna
of
do
that
this.
behind your ears.
It's like, okay, let's put this
Yeah.
baby to work. Um,
It's about
so
intention and about meditating, and it'll come. You have the ability.
a couple of months ago, I had
Yeah.
my first vision of something, which
Oh, I hope it
blew
was
my mind.
good. What was
It
it?
was. I saw William getting coronated.
Oh,
I saw William's coronation. Um, but it wasn't sad. So I'm thinking Charles didn't pass, but maybe his health has deteriorated that he just can't stay king. I don't know what that meant. I was doing something, not even I was at work. I was doing something at work, working on something,
Yeah.
and it just like somebody turned a movie on in my head. It was like, whoa. And it lasted all of maybe 15, 20 seconds. And it was just
wow.
that clear vision. I was like, okay,
Wow.
that's why my mother was the one that would have visions. And my
I think
grandmother,
your mother is working through
I
you. Do you
think
know what
she
I'm?
is too.
Yeah.
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 I think because she's the one that would have visions, but she would have visions of people dying if they were having, like, if there was a
Yeah.
traumatic death
Yeah. Yeah.
that they were about to experience.
Yeah.
She would see it before it happened, and it really bothered her. She
A
didn't.
lot of people have that ability.
Yeah.
Even people who don't think that they're psychic, they'll
Yeah.
they'll see somebody and they'll find out that that person had just died. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was wild, and it was like right there in my face almost.
Well,
I mean, it felt.
congratulations because that's a big deal.
I
That's
know. I mean, I'm
a big
and
deal.
I haven't
Yeah.
really talked about it that much because hey, Rock, Captain Morgan's
Because how
here.
does this doesn't
Um,
usually come up in casual conversation.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my conversation with my dead mother,
yeah.
and people are
Yes.
like, oh. Hey,
Have
my
you ever
mother
had it?
came to me. My mother came to me in a dream probably it's been a couple of months now. She's been dead for almost 30 years, and I have never dreamt of her. And she was very psychic. She's who I get it from. Just, and we had a fine relationship, but just she's
Yeah.
never come to me. I had this weird, it's real short, real weird dream where I was just in a random room and in come these two women. And although she looked nothing like my mother, I knew it was my mother. It was like her
Yeah.
soul had reincarnated. And she was with another woman and they were very preoccupied, but they made a special trip into this room so my mother could come over and she set something down in front of me and they left. Never said a word. We didn't really. She gave me
Wow.
a toolbox with tools in it, and I thought, oh wow, this is a message that this runs in the family, and it came from her, and
Yeah.
use this, that was
Yeah.
the, yeah. Isn't that weird? I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. I was trying to find somebody made a mention, and so I was backing up trying to find it in the chat.
Oh, oh
Um,
wow.
go through. Um,
I'd like to know what he said. What did he say to her?
what did he say, Rose?
Yeah.
Put it in the chat. What did he?
Yeah, please, if you
I've been
don't, if you don't mind.
trying to star stuff because I want everybody to kind of pitch in on their stories.
Yeah.
And let's see. Mickey says, I felt for some time that Charles will abdicate.
Oh.
I've gotten a lot of people I've heard say that. I just think it's with this cancer that it's it may get to be too much for him, maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you know what
But
Nostradamus said? Nostradamus, way before there was a Charles the First,
Yes.
Nostradamus said King Charles the Third would he would only briefly be king, and that the next person that you would think would be in line wouldn't.
Isn't who you
It'll
think.
be the one after that. So, like, we're
Yeah.
trying to figure out how does that work? Is it William and then William's oldest child, or is it
yeah,
William and then what's the other guy's name?
Harry.
no,
Harry.
Harry's
Yeah,
much further
yeah.
down the line now.
Oh, okay.
The way they've got it worked, and then I was just reading this the other day. How odd! It's Charles, and then it's William. And if William, if something happens to him, he passes or he abdicates, then it goes to George, his oldest son. If something happens and George doesn't take it, then it goes to Charlotte. She becomes queen. And then next after her is Louis, the youngest. And then it would revert to siblings and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they'd have to go through the whole family line
And listen,
before Harry would.
speaking of little Louis, have you seen recent pictures of him? He is absolutely adorable.
Isn't he though? And
Oh,
Charlotte is the spitting image of her daddy.
yes.
She looks so much like William. It's eerie. I mean, same
And
smile,
and
same
like the
shoes.
Queen Elizabeth. She also has a lot of Queen Elizabeth look. But
Yeah,
that Louis is
he
just
is a card. Let me tell you
yes.
what, he's something else.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Wow.
interesting. I'm just trying to go through. Do y'all have something you want to share while I star up some stuff?
Marina, do you have a ghost story?
Oh, well, it is kind of a ghost story, but it's not really a ghost story. And that was when and I was a teenager, but I can't remember exactly how old I was. Um when this particular night, and I'm usually a night owl, um I had gone to bed quite early and I fell asleep, obviously, and I heard two tapping on my bedroom window.
Oh God. Hmm.
Yeah, and the way that that at that point my bedroom was set up was the window was right in line with my bed, so I could see. And there was tapping, and I looked, and on the other side of the window was my grandmother, and she said, "I'm so sorry I came to say goodbye. I wanted to see you one last time this summer, but we couldn't make it happen."
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, what is that? What just like I wasn't scared? It didn't scare me. I just like really because here I am in Canada and she's over in Croatia." So
Oh, so that's what I was going to ask you. Did she live down the street or
no,
no?
no.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I woke up and I went out of my bedroom, and mom and dad were sitting in the kitchen. And I thought, that's odd. It's kind of late at night. What are they doing in the kitchen? So, yeah, when I walked in and hey, you guys. And mom said, oh, how come you're awake? And so I explained to her, I said, this is strange, but I just had, I just had Becca knocking on my bedroom window. And she just kind of went a little pale and she said, yeah, we just got the news she passed away.
Oh,
That happens a lot.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Which is, how did you feel? Did that make you feel comforted?
Um, it it did. It did at the moment because she never made any bones about the fact that I was her favorite grandchild. And when, as a child, you don't understand that. As an adult, I go back now and I think, oh, that was rather cruel. Like that was not a very nice thing to do. Um, but yeah, as a child, as a teenager, you don't think of those things.
Were
But
you the oldest grandchild?
yes,
Yeah.
I was the oldest grandchild, and I was the first granddaughter born into a family of males, males, males.
Oh, well.
I could understand that. I could absolutely
Yeah.
understand that. And there was nothing that I could have ever asked her for that she wouldn't just give it to me. But it was um, reviewing it as an adult and going back and thinking of all the times that, she would open up the kitchen door and look outside, and that all of us kids, cousins, because my grandparents had the bottom um, floor of the house. The top floor, there was two apartments, and we were in one, and my dad's brother and his family were in the other. And then I think the other uncle wasn't too far away. Anyway, so we all used to play together, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, she would look out and she would catch my attention and she'd go like this, you know, and so I'd go in and she'd say, hey, I've got some bread and honey for you. I've got some fresh bread. Here's some honey. But eat it here. Don't take it outside. You know. And I mean, I'm yeah, okay, this is great. Yeah. And then when I became a mother and as I got
Yeah.
older, I thought that was not very nice.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
look at how sincere that devotion was that she would actually come to you
Yeah.
before taking care of business, you know? That's
Yes.
remarkable.
My great grandfather, my
Yeah.
mother's dad,
Yeah.
my papa,
Mm.
um, he never gave much never mind to most of the grandkids, great grandkids, whatnot.
Yeah.
We would always go to their house for all the holidays and stuff. And he pretty much ignored most of the kids. They want nothing to do with them, but me.
Yeah.
And he couldn't smoke in the house or near the house. He smoked a pipe. And so he
Yes.
had to go sit on the wash house steps. They had their little house where the washing
Yes.
machine and the dryer were. And
Yeah.
he had to go sit on the wash steps to smoke his pipe. And he would always, when he'd go out to smoke his pipe, he'd motion for me to come. And I'd go sit and he'd just play with my hair, rub my head and just sit and puff his pipe. I mean, it was never anything inappropriate or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just loved him to death. And then here in the last 10 years or so, I found out things about him from some of my older cousins and stuff who remembered how he was. When they were kids, it was like, are we talking about two different people here? I mean,
Yeah.
what you're saying does not mesh with what my memory is of him and how
Yeah.
he was. But I was kind of always treated like the redheaded stepchild in that side of the family. because later I found out it was because I didn't. My mother wasn't married when she had me. It was pregnancy out of wedlock, and she refused to give me up for adoption. And
Ah,
so there was a good chunk of the family who always treated me like I was second best.
yeah.
And as a kid, I couldn't understand, well, why, what's wrong with me?
That's deplorable.
It is deplorable,
And
but
all in the name of God, right?
Yes, of
exactly.
course.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That was the Southern
Kristen.
Baptist side. That was the
Yes.
Southern Baptist side. The Catholic side had no problem with it. They were like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Oh, they
Um,
weren't the right kind of Catholic because my family would have had hernias.
they may have had before I came along, but by the time I'm old enough to remember them, there wasn't that many on that side of the family we associated with anyway, because a lot of them were really bigoted, and my mom wouldn't have anything to do with them. Um,
Yeah.
but and so that was why I was kind of treated differently. I mean, I had self-esteem problems for decades.
That's
I was up in my 30s
awful.
before I kind of got over it,
Yeah.
um,
That
it was just
kills me for that little kid, you know? It's just awful.
Yes.
but my granddaddy would spoil me rotten. I mean, really, really spoiled me rotten.
Yeah.
And my papa, I just remember my papa would always, when we would go, and you would see how the others would treat me. And maybe that's what it was that just tugged at him, that
He was trying to make up,
he was
compensate,
trying to
right?
compensate
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Um, but it's just I can remember sitting on the wash steps between his knees, and he would
Yeah.
just play with my hair because my hair was real long. Sometimes he'd braid it, and then he'd unbraid it, and then he'd braid it, and just because he was practically blind. I mean, he had one eye was completely cataract over, and the other one was getting there. Um,
Yeah.
He knew you needed that affection.
yeah, I think I
Yeah.
absolutely, and so it's just a fond memory I have of him, and
God, the things we do to children, you know?
I
oh
know.
yeah, I know it's truly
I mean, not me
deplorable.
personally, but,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
the way people treat kids who have nothing to do with the decisions that
Yeah.
the adults made, you
Right,
know.
Yes.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
that's what that's I mean,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna pop a few of these up here that I starred. Tammy said her daughter's boyfriend just bought a house. She was doing a load of laundry. She heard a whistling. She was by herself. Is there a spirit there?
No.
Well, I don't think so, but I'll
No.
pull a card.
What do you
You're
think
not
it
feeling it,
was?
Karina?
I. You know what? I. Yes. I do think what came to me right away was in the laundry room, whatever hose or whatnot is attached, it was vibrating, and that's what made that sound. So
Ah,
tell them to check, make sure that
I got the
what is it?
moon, which is deception. It's
Yeah,
not what you think it is. Yeah.
yeah,
yep.
But that would be where my first inclination would be too. I would assume that's, what it was.
I
Until
pulled a
proven
nine of
otherwise, it's a
candles.
ghost. What is it? The
yeah.
nine of what?
Nine of candles, which is wands.
Wow.
Oh, those are
This is
cool.
the Sante Muerte deck.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, where did you get that?
Uh, Angela Cardamancy Mesquite emailed
okay.
me a couple of weeks back and said, "Hey, I got a deck of cards for you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She says, "Your address isn't the same, is it?" And I was like, "No, it's the same,"
Yeah.
because she was the one that sent me my very first tarot deck.
Those are cool. Yeah.
And I'm gonna get there. I mean, this is the back.
Oh, I
So
like
Oh
that.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
um
really cool.
and then let's see.
She didn't draw those, did she?
No, no.
Oh,
This
wow.
But and then these are the cards. I mean, they have
Oh, they're so pretty.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
full of
Colorful.
color.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love color saturated cards that are
Yeah.
Yeah,
glossy
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Oh, that's cool
Yeah.
too. Was that the Hierophant?
justice.
Oh.
Yes.
He's the justice card.
That's
So
funny. It doesn't look like Alito.
nowhere near. Yeah, I know, but I thought ghost stories. This would be appropriate. I'll break out this new deck and
That's a
see.
really good ghost
Yeah.
story you told there, Marina. I like that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
That
Yeah.
was a ghost. How
absolutely.
could you say that wasn't a ghost? That was a ghost. That's the spirit, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know, but it's not. I'm kind of thinking ghost story as in and then they looked at the window, and there was
You want me to tell you a scary ghost story? Not terrifying, just kind of, it gives me goosebumps. Should I tell you?
Let's hear it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
Let's.
so like I mentioned, my mother was very psychic and she came to visit. So this is like Easter weekend, the Monday after Easter. This is a small town. There's very little to shop or anything, and there's an old Victorian house, not fancy, not in this area, but that age. That they turn into a gift shop. So each room had a theme. The bathroom was bath towels, soap. One
Yeah.
bedroom was a nursery stuff. In the downstairs there was a big bay window in the front, and they had all crystal in the parlor. And
Yeah.
then towards the back of the same room they had china. And there was a fireplace, and they had china on the mantelpiece. So we came in the back. Parking was in the back. We came in the back, and I had heard that this place was haunted when the woman was right before she opened, to do business at all. She was alone getting things ready, and she would hear boxes being dragged around upstairs, merchandise.
Yeah.
And it was in the paper. Which I thought was so odd. So we came in the back, came into the kitchen, dishes, pots and pans and stuff, and she had the counter, like cash register there. And this is early in the morning. It's like a 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. We were probably the first customers. We were the
Yeah.
only people in the building. And I said to her, "So how's your ghost?" And she said, "How did you know about that?" I said, "Well, it was in the newspaper." And she goes, "You're kidding me. They weren't supposed to say anything. That's not good for business."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, well, that's why we're here."
Yeah.
so, yeah, because my mother and I together were the amplifies, right? So we're wandering around, and she immediately said, "Yeah, there's really energy in here. There's a weird feeling in here." So we walked around and we went into the front parlor, and she said, "Oh, I don't like it in here. Let's leave." And I said, "No, we can't leave. I want you to see the cute stuff upstairs." So the stairs had kind of a jog, I don't know, like a landing and then another
Yes.
landing. And at the very top, there was big space in the hallway where they had an old fashioned, like an armoire or chest with Christmas decorations. So we're standing with our back to the stairs, and we're looking at the Christmas decorations. The place is deserted, And as we're looking at the Christmas decorations, I hear footsteps. We both heard footsteps coming up the stairs. And my first thought was I was going to show her my pockets were empty. I thought it was the owner just checking, that we're not lifting anything. And we both turned around. There's nobody there. And the footsteps kept coming, and they walked past us and went down the hall. And my mother grabbed my arm and she says, "Let's get out of here." So so we went downstairs, and she says, "Let's walk through the parlor to get out," just because it was weird energy. So we walked into the parlor, and she walks over towards the china and the mantelpiece, and I walk to the front bay window to look at the crystal. And she said, "Oh my God, Helen, come here." And I go over, and as I got within distance of her, she grabbed my arm. The room filled up with the smell of lilies. I'm not making this up. And
Oh
it got
wow.
ice cold. And we both went, "Ah!" we laughed.
Oh,
We laughed. We laughed. But we decided, in the olden days, in that time period, not even 100 years ago, they would lay people out in the parlor.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna say
of
that's where
course,
they didn't
viewing.
have
Yeah,
wakes at a funeral home.
No, no.
They would
And it
put you in the parlor or in the
felt
living room.
very much to both of us like this was a man and he was
yeah,
just keeping watch on his house, just checking on the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that a story?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. That, yeah, I would. That is a good story.
I think he was annoyed that they were turning it into a store and he was trying to, the boxes of merchandise. She said she'd go up there and there's nobody there and things were all pushed around not where she'd left them and she went home.
Yeah,
She had enough.
yeah, yeah. No, you're. I think you're absolutely right. That was not. You know, if if she had been smart, or if she had thought of it, um, should really have, before moving everything in, saged the whole
Yep.
building
Yep. Yeah.
and talk to whoever was in
Yeah.
there and say, okay, you can go to the light. I'll take good care of it.
Mhm.
I'll do this and whatnot. Or if you'd like to come and visit, could you maybe just do it on a Saturday
Tone
evening?
it down.
You know,
Yeah. I agree with you and I think that not everybody that would not occur to everybody. My mother wanted to go back with holy water. Like, I have to live in this town.
You're
I
not
don't
gonna
think
take
so.
that road.
these is
Yeah.
Mary and Joseph. Let's get
Yeah,
this.
that's right. That's right. Hey, every time when we moved when we were children, they would have the priest come over and go through every room and scatter holy water
Yes.
and mumble in it in Latin and carry out. And so as a child, I fully expected there were ghosts everywhere. I mean, why else would we be doing this? Yeah.
Yes, I remember those. Yeah, in the Catholic, and they would, yeah, mark the door frame or whatever.
Hmm. Put a cover over the mirror so that the spirit doesn't get trapped in the mirror.
Oh God.
That's
My
why they used to
grandmother used to.
always that's
Sorry.
why they always used to cover mirrors when someone passed. Or when someone was about to pass, they would put covers over all the mirrors so
I
that
think
the
they had this
spirit wouldn't.
weird thing about mirrors and vanity and evil. My grandmother used to say, teenager, right? You're looking at yourself. She walked by and she'd say, "Don't look at yourself in the mirror. Someday you're going to see the devil looking back out at you." it's,
Yeah,
it's a
that would
it's
break
a
that habit
wonder.
real quick. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with mine. I've told
Oh boy.
bits and pieces of it. When I think I was 11. That feels about right. 11 or 12, right in that time frame. We had moved. We were living in Florida at the time, and we had moved to this little apartment. It was like four apartments side by side. It used to be like a doctor's office strip, with different offices
Hmm.
that they had turned into apartments. And so we moved into this one apartment, and I had one of those great big giant stuffed lassie dogs, like just sitting up, with
Yes.
its paws in the front. And right after, when we moved in, neither my brother nor I would go in the back bedroom that we were supposed to share because it was always cold and musty back there.
Yeah.
And I would hear people say, "Oh, it's just the way the building's set, da da da." And then I was like, "Nope, that's not what's back here. I don't want to go back there." I wouldn't. My friends would go hang out back there. I would not. Not even with other people with me. I would not go in that back room.
Yeah.
And we slept with my mom every night in the front bedroom. So all three of us would sleep in the bed together. And um, I guess within like a month of us living there, we started finding this damn dog all over the place. It would not be where we left it.
Oh God.
We'd find it in the kitchen, we'd find it in the bathroom or in the shower. Once my mom got up and went outside to get the paper, and it was in the car. It was like, how the hell did it get in the car? The car was locked.
Wow, I don't
It
like
was
this.
sitting. It was sitting in the car. One night, or not night, but early one morning, um, she woke up, boxes that had been up in the top shelf of the bathroom closet. Now, we're all short. None of us could reach that top shelf. There was like three or four boxes stacked end on end on top of each other, with that
Wow.
dog sitting on top just looking down at us.
No.
Yeah,
Oh God. Oh my God.
that like really freaked my mother out. And we wound up giving the dog to someone else to hold for us until we moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't long after that that I was home one day. Now, my brother wasn't there. I don't remember what the deal was, but he wasn't there. And I was the like the living room was like this. And so you would come in the front door here, and then this would be the living room area. And then there would be this long hallway that led to the back door into the backyard. But while the living room was right here, and you would just, it was like a big long rectangular room with a dining room and then with a breakfast bar and the kitchen. And so if you were sitting in the living room, you could look and see directly
Yeah.
into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the couch, and my mom had gone into the kitchen. She was, I think, getting ready to cook or something. And she opened the refrigerator door, and it was like something punched her, like she got hit by like a battering ram or something. I mean, something, you literally saw her chest cave in from the force of the impact. It knocked her all the way back against the far wall in the kitchen. And I remember I flipped out. I can close my eyes still and see it happen.
Yes.
And it was just like, it wasn't too much longer after that we were gone. We moved, you know. She found out later, and I knew about it because me and my best friend were really good at eavesdropping when the grown-ups would talk. And so we were listening in one night while the grown-ups were all talking, and she said that she found out that the apartment that we were in used to be a doctor's appointment apartment, and evidently he did illegal abortions, and because they weren't legal back then, you know, and he killed somebody in the process. He screwed something up, and they bled to death. And his office was that back bedroom. And so she
Wow.
was like, that's got to be why the kids would never go into that back room, because,
Yeah.
you just felt something there, And I mean, we moved, nothing followed us. I don't know if my mom did something to prevent anything from following us, but that was probably my first real memory of anything just kind of in your face paranormal.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, holy crap. I mean, I was scared. I was still a kid. I was like 10, 11
Yeah.
years old.
Well,
Yeah.
But
those
that
those
area,
intense emotions that linger and yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And
Oh,
I just like I can close my eyes and see my mom opening the refrigerator door, and
wow.
then her whole chest just like cave in, like something just punched. And she went straight back into the back wall.
Did she talk about it?
No, she didn't talk. She would talk to her sister about it, my aunt Cindy, and sometimes she would talk about it with my grandmother because I'd overhear them. That's how I found out she had visions, because she was, by that point, she was working in the NCO club, non commissioned officers club. They're just off of the base. And she started out as a cocktail waitress, became the bartender, then became the bookkeeper, and then got moved on to base working in one of the supplies offices. But she was bartending that night. And again, long rectangular bar, right? You have to come in the door here. You had to go all the way down to the end of the bar to a little short L shape where there was like one seat, but there was no exit or anything there.
It was
It
like a
was
dead
just
end.
dead end wall.
Yeah.
And she's in the middle of the club. at the bar. You know, she's doing her thing that bartenders do, and uh, a couple of the pilots, retired pilots that taught, were there with some big honchos that were there to do some test flights with some new jets that were coming out. Now this was during Nam, so there was a lot of hurry up and get this stuff going kind of feeling to it. And she was doing. There wasn't anybody sitting at the bar. There was this group of men, a couple of tables out. She could,
Yeah.
eye contact, and she's standing there and she's doing her thing, and this vision overtook her, and she saw these two gentlemen in a plane in the air that explodes, and they disintegrate. Instantly. Just the force
Wow.
of the explosion.
Oh my God.
And it hit her so hard that, and this is me overhearing her telling her sister what she saw. But the vision hit her so hard that she dropped the glass that she was holding that broke in the sink. And to her left, at that short little L dead end, she hears a man's voice say, "Don't tell them what you saw." And she turns and looks, and there's this man sitting there at the end of the bar. And she was like, "How did he get there?"
Where did he come from?
He
Yeah.
didn't walk by her. She would have seen him. And he was sitting there at the end of the bar. And she just looked at him and said, "Excuse me." And he said, "Don't tell them what you saw. It's not for them to know." And she looks back out at the room at the men who are laughing and talking to the other guys. She turns back to ask the man at the end of the bar, and there's nobody there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was gone. And she came home. I remember that night because she was really upset.
Yeah.
And
You think?
and she didn't say anything. And then the next
Yeah.
day, there was this big thing because a jet exploded on the base.
Oh Lord.
What had happened was they showed up for the test flight the next morning. The two pilots that were supposed to take the plane up both got violently ill. And so the two instructors were there and they said, "We're here. We'll do it. We'll take it up." They got in the jet and took it up, and there was some kind of malfunction, and the jet exploded midair. And they disintegrated. There was nothing left. That's when I found out about it because my mom came home, got us kids, took us straight to my Aunt Cindy's house because she was losing it at that point.
Oh.
And I
God.
could hear her crying and talking to my Aunt Cindy about what she saw, da da da. And she was so upset. And I remember wanting to do something to make her feel better, but I didn't know what to do. And and I remember my aunt saying to her, "We all have to deal with what we've been given. So you just gonna have to deal with it, and just you know if it happens again, come talk to me again. I have my own things
Yeah.
I deal with." And that's when it kind of dawned on me, okay, all the women in my family that do these
Yeah.
weird things, it's because we've all got a touch of it. And so now I'm starting to pick up things like what my grandmother had, and then now it's like what
Yep.
my mom had, and it's like, okay, this is kind of wild. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Cool.
what I don't know what ability my aunt had, but she's passed too. So I figured eventually she'll show up. And
Did she have children?
yes, she had two children from her first husband. Her oldest son was severely autistic, like the kind of autistic that you would almost have to tie down or lock in a room because he would
Yeah.
hurt himself. And he would, if he saw the little pink sponge rollers, if he saw those in my hair, he would freak out thinking that they were attacking me. And he would try to yank them out of my head, which would make me scream because he's pulling my hair out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't doing it to hurt me. He was trying to,
Yeah.
to save me, is
Yeah.
how he saw it. And my aunt finally realized one day she put a curler in his hair. What little bit of hair he had, she just snapped one in. he was perfectly fine after that because he was like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt. It's okay." And so, if I was ever over and they would roll my hair, they had to put curlers in his hair too, which her husband was very
Yeah.
rigid, I guess, in
Oh
his
God,
approach.
I
And it was the
don't get them.
60s, you know. So, um, the
Did she have a
younger boy,
daughter? No, a
no,
son, another son.
no, she never had it. She had a younger son who was a few years younger. Um, he was maybe 2 or 3 years older than what my brother is. Um, he actually contacted mom when she was living in Phoenix with me. He located her and
Yeah.
contacted her and just kind of touched base. And they didn't have a, you know, my aunt had already passed at that point. So there were questions he had, and there was no one that he could get the
Yeah,
answers from, you
yeah,
know. Um, and then when she remarried John, who was in the Air Force, that was their Air Force buddies. They had a son, Michael, who lives on the side of a mountain in Montana somewhere, and who's married with two little girls that, no, three little girls now, I think it is. They're all spitting images of my Aunt Cindy. I mean, the oldest girl is like, oh my God, she looks just like my aunt did, you
Yeah.
know. And then John remarried after my aunt passed away. And then he passed away about a year, 2 years ago, I guess. And his wife that he had, you know, his widow now, I had posted something on my cousin's page. He had shown something with the kids, and I'd posted something. And she reached out to me and she was like, "How are we connected? Are you family?" And
yeah,
I said, "Well, yeah, John was married to my mom's sister, Cindy. And so, you know, I remember when they got married. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And we just hit it off. So we chat off and on
Yeah.
online, you know, which is kind of weird, but you know,
no, it's not.
she
That's
lives in
wonderful.
she lives in New Mexico, but
It's wonderful.
so
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of off the wall stuff like that, and a few others. Let's see what they say, and if anybody's got something. I started talking and I quit looking at the chat. Sorry. Okay, Linda put something in. A couple of weeks after my mom died, my phone rang in the middle of the night.
Oh my God,
I have heard of this
I've
happening
heard of
before.
this happening too. Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
That is wild. She just wanted to
Yes.
make sure that you knew that she was
Yes.
going to be okay.
I wonder if that ever happened again.
Yeah.
I didn't see her write anything else about it. Um,
It's like having that red phone, in the White House, only better.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
that would be
Uh,
wild.
yeah.
I mean, what a gift, really, when you think about it,
Yeah,
that she was able to harness enough power that soon after passing, much like
Yes.
Marina's
that's the
grandmother.
thing. Yeah, it's
It's
not
just
that
not,
easy. Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah,
so
it's not
interesting.
something they can do. It takes
Yeah.
a lot of energy
Yeah.
to be able to manifest themselves like that, from what I understand. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm no expert in the paranormal, but you know, just from
No,
what I've
that's
read
what
over the
that.
years.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Um, and then,
Absolutely.
so wow, Linda, thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful.
It's
Yeah.
lucky,
What a
really
what a
lucky.
gift you got. You
Yeah,
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
that was kind of like about 2 months before my mom died, before she had that last major seizure that put her in the hospital, that put her into hospice. One Saturday afternoon, and uh, my my desk was in the corner of the living room, and the couch was just to my right. And she was having one of those days where she was just crying all day,
Oh,
and
Yeah.
I
so
didn't
hard.
know, you know. And it was like, you know, Mom, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make you feel better, because
Yeah,
she didn't know how to
yeah.
explain it.
It's brain
It's
damage.
blocked
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
yeah.
And so I finally got her to lay down on the couch and go to sleep. And she napped for about maybe 45 minutes. And then she woke up and she was still weepy. And so I got up from the desk and I went and sat down next to her on the sofa. I was like, Mom, I wish I could do something to make you feel better. And suddenly she turned and looked at me, you know. And in that second, that was my mom looking at me.
She was back.
I, she was there. I could see it in her eyes. And she just looked at me dead in the face. She said, I don't want to be like this anymore.
Oh,
And she was gone.
God. Oh,
And
my
she was
God.
back into, but it was that split second and that one
Yeah.
sentence that I knew in that moment that she was aware of what was happening to her in some way, shape, or
Yes.
form, but couldn't come out. You know, she was like being
Yes.
trapped.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can finally talk about it now and not cry. It was the hardest
Yeah.
thing in the world because it was like because she wasn't really looking at me and I'm talking to her and she just whipped her head around and when she looked at me, just
Yeah.
her eyes, it was like that was my mom. That
Yeah.
was my mom looking at me, saying, I don't want to be like
Well,
this
you
anymore.
know, Sherry, if it's any
And
consolation, I've read a couple of books about exactly that. People who work with neurology patients or in
yeah,
hospice, and what they have been able to understand is that what we see happening is not necessarily what that patient is experiencing.
oh no,
That
not even.
they're out and about. They're getting ready
Yeah.
for that other plane of existence, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a newborn baby is in and out. They're in and out. So
yeah,
on the outside, you get the impression they're suffering and it's awful, and but that her wanting to not be like that anymore might very well be an indication that she was aware of something better that she'd been
yeah.
interacting
I
with. Yeah.
I certainly hope so. I
Yeah.
think she
Yeah.
just didn't like being locked inside of herself that way.
Yes.
And
Well,
then
who does under the best of circumstances?
exactly. I mean, and it was like within about 2 weeks she had the major seizure,
Yeah.
and we had to
Yeah.
call an ambulance. They put her in the hospital, and then they were like, "She's not going home. She has to go into
Oh.
hospice." I'm just glad it all happened before the big C hit,
Yes.
so
Oh.
she
Oh
wasn't
my
alone.
God. Oh
She
my
wasn't
God.
alone when she
Yeah.
passed because
Yeah.
the hospice nurse called me and said, "It's going to happen in the next day or two." She says, "I just
Oh.
know it."
When
So
did she
come
die?
say she died on a Saturday night
No,
in
like I mean, what year, what month?
oh in June of 2019,
Oh,
like
yeah.
6 months before C
Yeah.
hit, and that's how close it was. And
It was a blessing.
it was a blessing. I was
Yeah.
glad that when the big C hit, and you start hearing all these stories of
It was
patients
hideous.
not being able to be with their families and children
Yes.
going to the window with the nursing homes to see
Oh,
their
that was just
grandparents.
awful.
I was like, I can remember just sitting there and thinking, thank God she didn't go through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And but when the nurse called and said, you need to come say your goodbyes. And so we all went. And when I had a moment alone with her, I remember I just leaned over and said, Mama, it's going to be okay. You can go rest now. You know, you don't have to hang on for us anymore. We're going to be okay. And it was later that night that she passed. And I got a call like at
Yeah.
1 in the morning or something, and the nurse called to say she's gone. And
It's
so,
remarkable how many people wait until everyone's out, everyone's gone.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because they don't want. It's like they don't want that burden on their family,
Right. Yeah.
and um, and I always felt like me telling her we're gonna be fine. You can go
Mhm.
rest
You
now.
gave her
Yeah.
permission.
Yeah,
Yes. Absolutely.
you did your job. You did what you came here to do. Now it's time for you to go rest.
That was
And
a really brave thing for you to do. That's hard, you
it
know?
was and I don't know what prompted me to do it. It just kind of came out.
No.
I didn't
We
think of it.
know.
I didn't plan it. Yeah, that was spirit working through me. So,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
but I, I,
Absolutely.
I believe that it was enough to penetrate to her that Hi, honey. That there was
I'm
a
so glad I'm sick because I heard that and I thought, no, I didn't hear anything.
no. That's the cat.
Oh God. Marina, was
So
that experience with your grandmother the only time you've ever had like a visual? Was that a yes
Um,
or was that a no or a yes?
Visual, yes. That kind of experience, no.
Ooh.
Because I had, yeah, like who was it that was just up talking about yeah, picking up the phone and you know saying hi, is that you, mom?
oh yeah,
Anyway,
that was oh
yeah.
I
Linda?
forgot who
Linda?
that was now.
Was
Oh,
it
could be.
Lynn or Linda? Something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Linda Ramsey.
Um,
That's who it was, I think.
okay. Yeah, when I was working for the city of Calgary, um, when my dad passed away. I was a contract employee, and I worked in building inspections. So basically, there was three other ladies that I worked with, and whenever whenever there were new buildings going up or when anything that required a building permit, we handled. So, um, let's say in construction, when they did the framing, they would have to call for a building inspection. Then when they did something else, they would have to call for a building inspection and that kind of stuff. So yeah, our job was to
I'm
we
gonna
would
take a
get
bite.
a permit number, and it's yeah I I need a framing inspection at 123 Main Street or whatnot. So
Yeah.
um, I was and Dad passed away on December 20th.
Ugh.
Yeah, just so it was kind of quiet in the office, and there wasn't people were on holidays, and because it was quiet, um, at that particular moment I happened to be working by myself. Okay. And so um and I should kind of preface it too by saying that yeah, my dad always used to tell me that I was the good girl. Whenever I did something or whatnot, he'd say, "Yeah, you're a good girl." So, um, the phone rang. I picked it up, and it was this older man with a little bit of an accent who told me that yeah, he had done some work on his basement and he needed to get the inspector in. And I said okay. And I said, "Do you have a permit number?" And he rattled off a number, and so I wrote it down and the address, and he gave me the address, and I said, "Okay, no problem. We'll have the inspector come out sometime tomorrow." And he said, "Oh, thank you so much. You're a good girl." And it was like a whole body shiver because the accent and the way that he said it was the same way that my dad would say it, and my dad had passed away the night before.
Oh my
So
God.
I got my bearings and finished my job, did whatever. uh and we would the end of the day we would pull all the files that had to go with the inspections to so that the inspectors could just come in, pick up their pile, and off they go. Well, I'm trying to find this permit number. I can't find it anywhere, and it's numerical. So I'm looking around thinking could have been misfiled, whatnot. Couldn't find anything, so I left a note for the inspector for that area, and I said, "Listen, so this guy called and he needs an inspection. Apparently, this is the address. I can't find a permit number." So the next day, I'm at work. the guy inspectors are doing their thing. At the end of the day, they come back, and the inspector comes up to me and he said, "So, was it your intention to send me on a little, little hunt there through the city?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "The address you gave me. There is no such address. There is no such place." And I thought, "Holy shit! Okay." So the fact that I couldn't find a permit number, you can't find it. This guy tells me I'm a good girl. Yeah, that
That was
was
your
my
dad.
dad.
Oh my God. Oh
That
my
was
God.
my dad. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
And how did that? I'm trying to figure. Did that freak you out, or did that give you
No,
comfort, or?
no, it was comforting in a lot of ways because dad actually passed away at home,
Hmm.
and my sister and I were there when he passed away.
Was it
And
expected?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, yeah, it was. Uh, in fact, my sister, who is a very um, very spiritual and in tune as well, she's been reading tarot for much longer than I have. Um, and she was actually the one who sort of helped transition him because he was at the time he was we had a hospital bed and it was in the living room because we knew it was just a matter of time. um, and so yeah, we were there. She was talking to him, I was sitting close to him, and it was the feeling in the room when he passed, when the nurse said, he's gone, was it was so full of love. I felt honored to be there.
Mm.
um it was it was really weird because I never even the day of when we had his funeral before he was cremated, I never felt the urge, and I never did cry because I it didn't feel like there was anything to cry about. He was going to such a better place that they're being there when he passed away, and then the next day getting that phone call was, um to me it was confirmation. To
Yeah.
me it was like, there's um knowledge that I can't really explain except to know that it's fine. It's fine. And
And it's not really like you were losing him because you knew you were still in touch, right?
exactly. Yeah,
No, I get it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was, yeah, I still have some of his old work shirts that are in my closet that, every time I look at them I think of him. It, he used to, after he passed away, I'd go for a walk or I'd be wherever, and if I looked down, that he would send me pennies, that I could pick them up and go, "Oh, thanks, Dad. Yeah, thinking about you too."
It's interesting. They say that happens a lot with small
Yeah.
coins. And it's
Yes.
not, I walk every day and I pick up all the loose change I find on the road.
Yes.
And there's very little of it, very, very little of it. It's not like you're just finding random dimes and pennies everywhere you go. And this is a pattern that repeats itself for the same person over and
Yes.
over and over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I remember once, and I would always tell Mom when oh, look, Dad said hello, I got my pennies, whatnot. And one time I found a nickel. And so I'd gone home and I said, "Mom," and Dad was a big sportsman. He was always hunting, fishing, whatever, and always especially the hunting where they'd be gone for 3, 4, 5 days and whatnot. And so I showed Mom the nickel and I said, "I think Dad's going hunting. He's paying it forward." Like, so, yeah.
That's great. You got a donation, Marina.
Did I?
Well,
Oh, Oh, thank
Book
you,
sent you
Book.
a super chat. So
Aw, sweetheart, thank you. Oh, and I missed it because I was too. Thank you,
yeah,
Book. That
I'm.
is wonderful. Thank you.
How to bless a home? How to bless a home? Well, I think it depends on your belief system. Somebody like my family, who were just extreme Catholics, um, they would have a priest come in, and after there's prayers, there's actually a process,
Mhm.
and go around the room with holy water and pray in every room.
Yeah.
But you can do it yourself. You can do it with
Yes.
sage, and you start to the north,
Mhm.
and you can make the sign of the cross if that's important to you, and you ask for only the highest vibration, only the best intention,
Only
only
those
light.
things of God's light and love.
Right, light and love,
And
and go north, and then do it in a circle, and you're supposed to do it 3 times. You just do it in every room. And I kind of my relationship with the other world is kind of practical. I'm like, okay, this is the way it's going to have to be.
yes,
And this
Yeah,
is what I need from you. I need you to not do that, and you can go ahead and
yeah,
do that. And I think that can be very effective.
absolutely.
absolutely. One of the things that I would do whenever I moved residence is thank the old place as you're leaving, right? Thank you for all the wonderful memories and the good times, and you've been a good house. Thank you very much. Going into the new house, it's I'm thank you for allowing me to be here. And then I go into each and every room and say out loud, this is now my house. Each room, this is now my house.
That's
And
smart.
it's yeah, sort of claiming ownership, and that and also after I've claimed ownership, yes, I will do the sage. And then it's this house is protected. Only those things of God's light and love are allowed anywhere in this space. And
Yep.
yeah, that's sort of my little ritual. And that book, that's one of the rituals that you can do, um, is to claim the space as
Claim the
your
space, yeah.
space. Yeah.
And I hear sprinkling salt. I mean, if you're really
Mm,
concerned, that
yes.
a salt is a real effective way to sort of create a boundary, an energetic boundary. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've lived in the same house for 40 years. We've kind
Yeah.
of driven all the spirits out. We've driven the mad, and they've gone to greener pastures.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually,
We had a
I
few
this
others
is a
here that.
very, very old house here, and I have a front bedroom that, how do I say this? There's energy in this house. I know there is.
Yeah.
And I've had to spend 40 years telling my children, oh, no. Because, kids, they worry about it. So
Yes.
we recently had a visit from one of my granddaughters who's 7. Very psychic kid. It is so apparent. She wanted to spend the whole entire time in that front bedroom.
Yeah.
Nobody else wants to ever be in there. And she was just loving that room. And there's nothing remarkable about the room, but she was drawn to the energy of the room. Most people are a little uncomfortable in there. And I can feel that there's something in there. She was loving it. So I think
Yes.
kind of depends on the person, doesn't it? Marina, don't you
Yes.
think?
Very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Very much. Yeah. Very,
Absolutely.
very much. Yeah.
MLR was sharing that my grandfather appeared to me in his
Wakes.
house during one of his wakes. I was alone in the house. Yeah, I've
Oh.
heard of that happening.
Yes.
I wonder it was that frightening, or was it reassuring,
I
or
didn't see any follow up to that.
yeah, I'm curious to know.
Um,
Yeah.
I have a question
mhm.
for you, Sherry.
Uh-huh.
You live, you told me you're surrounded by a lot of other apartment units.
Yeah, I live in a big
Is
complex.
all that proximity to all those different energies, can that be problematic for you?
It hasn't been. Um, I mean, but every full moon I make a point of walking around outside the excuse me, my allergies are going nuts.
Hmm.
Every full moon I make a point of going around outside and saging all the windows and doors. Just,
Have your neighbors
to
ever seen
protect
you
them.
doing that?
Oh yeah,
Ah,
I'm sure they all think I'm crazy as a loon. So it's that crazy witch lady again out there with that stuff.
I
I've
could
seen a
see
few
it.
of them look at me kind of funny. It's like maybe I should hang my shingle out. Get one of
You
those big
could,
signs.
you could get a little side hustle going on reading tarot cards for your neighbors.
Last week I got a DM from someone who's like,
yes,
"You do private readings, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she says, "Oh, by the way, I work at the same university that you do."
Oh, I love
We're one building
it.
apart. We're
yes.
literally there's one building between where she's at and where I'm at. So I'm doing a reading for her this coming week.
Oh,
And
that's so good. Tell her to spread the word.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
want to try to make up a few cards,
that's a good
business
idea.
cards.
Yeah,
I can
Absolutely.
leave with her and say, "Here, if anybody else is interested,
Totally.
give them a card."
very good idea. Very good idea.
So, um, but
I did want to mention here. I'm going to put my email address in the chat, and I think there's there was something that um, twin mom had mentioned. I think she might be having an issue. I've missed most of it because I've been not paying attention, but
who was it?
on yeah, if um twin mom, if you want to send me an email and let me know what's going on, uh, yeah, book kind of
Sorry,
drew my attention to it. So I put my email in there. Send me an email,
absolutely.
let me know, and I'll do my very best to, yeah, to
Address,
answer
yeah,
whatever, yeah,
problem.
Twin mom, you
whatever.
said that's who was having the issue.
Yeah, twin mom. Yeah,
Okay.
I think like a book mentioned, did I see what was going on? And I thought there was a little bit. I couldn't really pick too much up, but clearly there's something there. So I have whatever I've missed. Just please reach out, send me an email, and
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
So this
definitely.
is interesting. Her father came to her in a dream and said, accept the two sisters from out of marriage. So I'm assuming these are children he had
Yeah,
outside of the marriage. So
yeah,
half
Yeah.
sisters, right? Half sisters.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
That's
a
kind of cool, really.
that's
I
a
mean,
hard one.
yeah.
yeah. And
You're more than welcome, twin mom. Yeah.
oh, Rose says, if I'm stressed when I fall asleep, I feel my son rub the top of my head.
Ah,
That's so cool. My
yeah,
husband does that with my hair. If he's hanging around or something, he'll just tug on my hair.
yeah,
I'll be like, stop. But I know it's
yeah,
him. Just he always had a thing about my hair. I mean, when he was still alive, my hair was like down to my waist. I
Yeah.
didn't cut it. And of course, he had to brush it. That was the rules. It was like, if I'm keeping it
yeah.
long, you got to brush it. So, because it wears
Yes.
me out. It's too thick.
Oh, it's so
Mm,
much work. Yeah.
it was a lot of work. Um,
I feel like I've been very fortunate, and I think that the death of a child has got to be a special kind of pain. You know.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. That's very hard.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've lost a spouse, I've lost a parent, lost a grandparent, but I
Yeah.
can't imagine losing my child. I
You've had
just
a little variety pack of loss,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Good. And
yeah,
hopefully I he will outlive me so I won't have to go through that. But
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know, Tila, you could absolutely do that. You could say, yeah, it's okay to come and visit, but yeah, you're not scaring me. So yeah, if you ever scare me,
I've
you're not
told my
welcome
son for years that I said when I die, I said cremate me. I said because if
back.
you stick me in a box in the ground, I'm coming back to haunt your ass. You better believe it.
Yeah,
And it's not going to be fun.
yeah,
I said,
I've told my kids that, I come from a very large, extended family as well. Uh, Dysfunction there. I don't, I feel like I shouldn't talk too much about it, but a lot of dysfunction. And my children love each other and get
yeah,
along really well together because that was the focus of my life, right? And so I tell them all the time, you guys fall out with each other. I'm coming back and haunting you. I'm going to make it not worth your while.
yes, absolutely.
But Teelan probably has moved on, has probably just, it doesn't need to hang around and torture you or scare you.
Yeah,
Nightmares with some
in my window and taking me away. One day, a boyfriend woke me up tapping. He's my husband now.
came true.
And he took me away. How God, take me away.
oh, I remember those commercials.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my goodness.
Me too. Yeah.
Oh wow. Let's see. We got a few more in here. I'm sure I probably missed a truckload of them that
This is so common,
101.
so common that people, I've taken care of the aged and the dying, and
Yeah.
Yes.
there's a period of transition where they're back and forth.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're with us and sometimes they're somewhere else, but they also interact with things no one else can see.
Yeah.
My own
Yeah.
grandmother almost died of childbirth. The baby was born, but the baby died and she almost hemorrhaged. It was a very, very long time ago in rural Ireland. The doctor was, inadequate.
Yeah.
And so she was upstairs in her bed and they, got her situated and everything. My grandfather went downstairs to do something and he heard a crash. He went running up the stairs and she had stopped breathing. She
Oh,
had, in the process, her hand had knocked something down and attracted his attention with the crash. And he grabbed her by her shoulder, 1930s,
yeah.
grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her really hard and screamed her name. And she came back. And she told everybody later that she was lying in the bed and a light appeared in the corner of the room. And this being of light, she called it Jesus,
Yeah.
because of course she would assume she was going straight to
Yes.
heaven. And this sort of kind of like, come with me kind of thing. And she sort of almost did, except the crash
Yeah.
helped to bring her back. But she
Yeah.
was seeing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
like that movie Ghost, and towards the end, the movie
yes.
Go, is between the good light that's taking you away and
Yeah.
then the darkness that comes to get you. And I remember the first time I saw that movie, I was like, holy crap, man, it just rang so true to me when I
Yeah.
watched that. I
Yeah.
was like, that's more accurate than people give credit for. It really,
Yeah.
That
really
movie, The
is.
Sixth Sense, did you guess that he was seeing dead people?
You, you know,
Didn't even.
I never saw the movie. That is too much for me.
I
I heard
think
about it.
what I think what surprised me so much was that people went out of their way to not give up the ending, to not tell others what the ending
Oh,
was.
right, to protect it. Well, it's been so long now, you're
Yeah,
really.
it's kind of
Yeah.
past that now. But I remember the first time I watched it, and it was like with everything that was going on, and something just felt off to me and off to me, and I couldn't figure it out. And then at the end, when you realized, as he realizes that he's dead too,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "Oh my god, that's why."
It never occurred to me. I can't now. I think it might, but at the time I
Yeah,
first saw it, and I watched it recently. It actually holds up. It was, even though I knew
yeah,
what was going to happen. Oh, that's so cool. That's
Oh, I
beautiful.
was worried she changed rooms. Wait, don't
yeah.
you want to know how your child's going to grow up?
My grandmother came to me one night when I was asleep. I had these dreams, and
Yes.
she lived with us. Uh, we shipped her over from Ireland when I was
Oh,
about 9, and she lived with us, until she died of old
yeah,
age, and we were on friendly terms, not particularly, boon companions or anything. And this one night, about 25 years ago, out of the blue, apropos of nothing, I dreamt about her, and she came to me, and it was not a dream, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And she
yeah.
said, Helen, when you die, you don't have to be afraid. I'll be there to help you. I woke up and I was like, oh my God, take my heartbeat, and like, am I all right? That was a little disconcerting, but then
Yeah,
when I didn't die, then I felt like, oh, that's very reassuring, actually. Yeah.
yeah,
The only time
totally.
I've ever been sick enough that I was literally afraid that I was gonna die alone was,
Oh,
my mom had moved back here to Louisiana, so I was still out in Phoenix by myself.
Yeah,
It was when, H1N1 came out, and we were waiting for the
oh,
vaccine at work because we got inoculated on anything that came through. Because I worked at a medical testing lab, and so they would inoculate us as soon as they could get the
yeah.
vaccine
yeah,
in. And so we were waiting for it to get there, and I came down with it. I got sick. It was like I got up in the morning, I felt kind of eh. And within an hour after I got to work, I was like double vision. I was like, I have to go, and I called the doctor, went to the doctor's
yeah.
office, and they like had me come in a side entrance and go to a back office. And when the doctor came in, she was in a full hazmat suit. And I was like, holy crap, what have I
Oh my
got? It
God, Ebola.
freaked me out.
Oh
And they
God.
did some tests and came back and said, yeah, it was H1N1 and everything. And I honestly don't remember how I drove myself home. I drove myself to the doctor and then I drove myself home
It was
from the
respiratory?
doctor. It was very similar to the big C that came through. It
Yeah.
was it was all the congestion and all of this. I mean,
Oh, I
it was
hate
like
that.
having the flu times 1,000.
Oh
That's how bad
God.
it was, and it was taking some people out with it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got home and I texted one of the supervisors in our office what the doctor said I had and what was going on, and she said, "Don't lock your door." And I said,
Oh
"What do you mean, don't lock my
God.
door?" She
Oh my
says, "I want to
God.
be able to come by and check on you." Because we had a team, we
Yeah,
had teams of phlebotomists that would go out and draw blood at all the
yeah,
nursing homes. So every couple of hours, she had somebody cruising by my apartment
That's pretty
and go pop
remarkable.
their head in and make sure I was still breathing because I
yeah,
would be out. I can remember times waking up and getting up and going to the bathroom and then grabbing a bottle of water and then laying back down on the couch. I wouldn't go sleep in my bed in the bedroom because I was scared if I went to sleep in there and I died, no one would
Oh.
find me.
yeah.
So I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, and I had a little private patio area, and so I left the door cracked open a couple of inches so the cat could go in and out.
Oh, you had a
And
cat?
I had a cat.
Oh, you know what happens when people die and they have a cat?
Uh,
No, I'm not kidding. That actually,
well,
it's
yeah, the cat
more
was
likely
around.
a cat. than a dog. You would think
Yes.
a dog would. No, it's more likely a cat would. Oh, God.
So she knocked something over. It sounded like something
But
crashed.
that's a
Um,
sad story, Sherry, that actually happens
yeah.
to a significant number of people.
Well,
You
and I
know?
knew that. I mean, you work in a medical testing lab, you hear, we were the
Yeah,
long-term
you hear
care
the horror. Yeah.
we were the long-term care department. That's what we dealt with were old people in the nursing homes and stuff or the hospice care.
Yeah.
We had and so yeah, we would hear some horror stories or experience it firsthand, going in and drawing blood and the patient's gone. Um uh and that was my biggest fear when I got that was that
Yeah. The
I was
moral of
gonna
this story is be nice to your relatives.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And your
Or at
coworkers
least
if
one
that
of them.
exactly. But I mean it meant a lot to me that my coworkers made a point of coming
Yes.
by several
That's really
times a day.
unusual.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty
Mhm.
good group of in our
Yeah.
department that we all got along pretty well. There was a few outliers that were pains in the butt, but overall, we pretty
Oh,
much
there's
all got
always
along.
at least one
Yeah,
malcontent in every
they
working
would make sure
situation.
I had food and water, and um, so yeah, I mean, and I'm not even aware. I don't have any memory of any of them coming
Oh
at all.
man. Oh
Uh, you know,
man. How long were
so
you sick?
about a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I was laid out for a good solid 6, 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
But
it
the
was
important
rough.
thing, the only thing that matters, Sherry, did you lose any weight?
No, you'd
That's
think I
always my
would. I spent a week. I didn't eat anything, and all I
that's
did was
what I
drink water.
mean.
You'd
See,
think I'm
every
gonna
cloud
walk
has a
around.
silver lining, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
Mine was just full of piss and vinegar. It didn't do any good. So,
Oh, so bad.
but yeah, I mean, and it's just wild. All the things, the little paranormal things like that happen to us. Um, I mean, it's fun to watch like the ghost shows and the paranormal shows, and most of it's probably put upon, to make it more exciting for TV. But, I know people who've done that stuff for real and they really deal with some stuff. It's like, nope, I
Yeah.
don't want to go. Because I've been asked, you want to come with us? Nope, I don't want to go. I'll watch it on TV, but that's as far as I'm going with it. I don't want to go.
I don't really
But
like to watch those shows on television, where they're wandering around at night in some abandoned building with little boxes that light up and make sounds. And
yeah,
then they're, what was that? It doesn't scare me.
yeah,
It's annoying. I mean, I want to see a full on apparition. I
yeah.
want, if I'm going to watch a show like that, I want some bang for my buck. I don't want some little
Well, yeah,
box beeping a light. That's
Yeah. Totally.
there's so much ambient
absolutely.
electromagnetic energy around everywhere. They don't know what they're, you know,
Exactly.
bah
Um,
humbug.
Well, ladies, on that note, I'm going
I'm
to
going to
voice
say
this
good night to
hours
everybody.
yet because I'm
We've been here an hour and 53 minutes. So,
Piece
yeah.
Helen,
of cake.
that makes it almost 5 hours for us today.
Oh, geez.
I know when I told my husband a little while ago, hey, listen, you're going to have to listen for the door. We're expecting company from Ireland. So you're going to have to listen for the door because I've got plans. I'm
Yeah.
busy. And he just looked at me like I've taken root in this room. I may never leave again. He'll have to leave food outside the door for me.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
so much fun, Marina. I'm so happy that you came. It's
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sherry, for inviting me.
Oh,
That
you're
was
welcome.
really
Well,
nice.
Helen sent me an email earlier and she said, "What time again? 9 o'clock my time?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, can I come on too?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And then she says, "Was I being rude?" And I said, "No."
well, she mentioned it earlier, and I was like, "Oh, how cool!" And it didn't fully sink in
Yeah. And
what
I
it really
started to ask you then,
was.
and then I thought, well, no, she'll probably already be in bed asleep.
Oh, me?
And
Oh, No.
but I didn't realize you were a night owl like I am. But yeah, this has become a regular Saturday night thing. Marina's been on with me a couple of times, and Michelle Marie's been on with me,
Yeah.
I think once or twice. I don't remember. Um, so I mean, some weeks it's just me by myself, and that's okay. And other weeks, if somebody's in the chat and I see them, I'm like, "Yeah, you want to come on? I'll send you the link."
That I think that's great. That's fun.
Totally.
So I mean, that's more fun when you have somebody to talk to. You know, it's
Well, yeah, it is.
yeah,
It is.
Unless, of course, you have a few little, visitors. You know,
Yeah, there's that too. There's that too. But yeah, I
very
find
quickly.
otherworldly visitors.
yeah, I find I get to that point where I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, and then it's like the light switch goes off, and it's like, yeah, okay, then what do
Oh,
I?
you're tired.
How many times
Oh,
have y'all watched me sit here and go, and I
Uh
go
huh.
right down, and then I'm back up?
you
I did it.
have?
Oh yes, on camera, live. And it's kind of gone.
You're just like our former president.
I'm telling you, and yeah, except I smell better. But you know,
Oh, snap.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I
was
smell
very
like
good.
Chanel number 5, not. Well, I won't do that.
Yeah, never
Uh,
mind. Never mind.
but yeah, I started. Like I said, the first couple of times I did it, it was just a pop up because I was awake, and it was like somebody else has got to be awake. I figured if 5 people showed up, I'd be happy, and and next thing I
Yes.
knew, I had a room full of people, and it was a lot of fun. And then a couple of weeks went by, and I did it again. And the second time I did it, everybody was like, "You got to start doing this like every weekend. This is great." So I
A
decided,
lot of
okay.
times I'm not aware of what's going on, like most of the time actually, because I don't. You would think I'm always on this thing, and not. No, I'm not really, and I don't look at it when I'm not recording something. So I don't check my emails. I forget to check check my texts.
Yeah,
People are always mad at me.
yeah.
I had 46 texts earlier
Oh my
because
goodness.
my daughters have a like a group thing. And so if one of them gets a conversation going, they all have to have an opinion. They all chime in. And one of them had pictures taken of her child, like formal pictures taken.
Yeah,
And so everybody had to comment. Everybody
Of
had to see
course.
every single choice of picture. I have 46 messages who died.
yeah.
Oh God. Well, they live their whole lives communicating on devices now.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm still
Oh
in the
yeah.
Stone Age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm
Marina, go
still
get
in
some.
computer. I'm in computer science, so
Yeah,
I'm
I feel
always they're
comfortable.
doing this as they walk up and down the halls. I'm like, how do you not walk into the walls? I don't get it.
I saw a young mother pushing a stroller the other day. She had the baby in the stroller, she had a dog on a leash, and she was on her phone scrolling as she walked, pushing with her elbows. I thought I've entered another dimension. I can't even.
Totally.
Oh, that's nothing. I saw a video where a husband, it's a young couple, baby, had taken the baby out to give the wife a break, and he was at the food court at the mall. Well, the wife had followed him without him seeing to see if he was going to take care of the baby. And so the baby's in the stroller, and he goes and he sits down, and some woman that he knew from his past that he hadn't seen in a long time walked by and recognized him and sat down and started talking to him. And he's talking to her, and they're just blabbering away. And this woman, the mother, goes walking up when he's not paying attention, takes the baby out of the stroller, and walks away. And the other person leaves, and so this guy is like, hey, he gets his stuff, and he gets never once looked in the stroller at the child. He just gets his stuff, and proceeds to start walking down the mall with the stroller. And she's following him with the baby in her arms until she finally, like 5 minutes later, catches up with him. And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here? I thought you were taking a break." And she said, "I think you lost something." And she was holding the baby. And he was like, Well, no, the baby's in the thing. And that, and she was like, it's all on tape.
Oh
You
my
never even
God.
saw me come get my child out of the stroller.
And it would be that easy. It really would be that
It would
easy.
be that easy.
It just takes 10 seconds. They're gone.
Yeah.
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 Oh my
Okay.
God.
All right,
Oh.
Lynette.
Well, on that happy note,
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to end this on a bad note.
No, no,
Thank
no,
y'all
no,
for
no.
hanging
That's
out with
fine.
us tonight and sharing your stories and
thank you.
everything. And
Yeah.
I'll see y'all next Saturday night.
Thank you,
I'll
everybody.
be on
Thank
tomorrow
you.
twice, so
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm a glutton
Here
for
you go
punishment.
again.
So we'll have fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye, everybody. Have a
Bye.
wonderful weekend and a great week.